TC, if you need a Christmas gift idea for me, get me some tickets for Parks Casino.
All right.
Like some concert tickets. Holidays, perfect time for Parks Casino. You know, maybe other people are going away and you're looking for something to do. Go to Parks Casino. Parks Casino and Sportsbook, the #1 casino in Pennsylvania, the only casino and sportsbook I recommend. Concerts, dining, action, excitement, big and rich. January 21, comic Kathleen Madigan. January 28. It's a great place to see a comedian. Dana Carvey was so damn funny. And I had great seats, too. But every seat's a good seat. I mean, Sid Mark. Remember seeing Sid Mark there? Every seat is a great seat.
I know. You kept saying how he was relating to the audience and how fun it was to see him up close like that.
I know what a fan of gin blossoms you are. You're either a fan of gin or gin blossoms. I get confused.
I mean, it's confusing.
February 25, watch and wage. Parks is a great place. Would you please go there? Visit parkscasino.com for tickets and details. Got to be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. Yesterday, wow, 18,787. I must say, we're kind of getting used to that level of voting. That's a lot of voting. And do you know what the poll question was? Well, of course you do. Pick a side. Musk versus Apple. Musk versus Apple. Apple, the choice of 83.62%. Elon Musk had the rest. Musk has taken on this political persona now, which I think is unfortunate. Such an innovator. I don't want people to think of him in terms of ideology first. Think of him in terms of cars and rockets and chips implanted in your brain for good purpose. Neuralink. I'm doing my part for both. Because in the Apple v. Musk, and by the way, they reconciled. I'll get to that in a moment. But I'm driving one of their cars and I'm using one of their computers, and this is a brand new computer.
Brand new.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Why? That's the best day of your life.
First thing is, my old computer was 5 years old.
Right.
It was 5 years old, and it was time. The battery was shot.
Right.
I could have replaced the battery. They would have needed 4 to 5 days because they said that my model was such that they would have needed to do full open heart.
What do they expect people to do?
I don't know. I mean, what am I to do? Because I'm totally dependent.
Wow.
And I think that was my break point. I frankly have been needing one for quite some time.
I'm glad you got one before yours crashed.
TC, how can, I know the answer to this, that you don't need to get a Mac, I guess is the answer. But how can people afford it? This was expensive.
I know.
That
is the answer.
This was a monthly mortgage payment.
But we get computers that have a lot of storage on them because we have audio and we're kind of different in that way. So I think of this as, think of how often you're going to use this over the next 5 years. And
every frickin' day, every minute of every day. That was my rationalization.
Far less expensive.
I don't know. I have a little bit of buyer's remorse though.
Why?
Okay, so tell me what you think about this.
Okay.
I believe that you and I have the exact same model computer now.
Yes.
Okay. So you told me, hey, the data transfer from your old computer to your new computer is not going to be an issue. You'll be able to handle it. I'm like, I'm a numbskull.
You literally put the two next to each other.
That's what you said to me. Okay, so I took it home and I did that. I put them next to one another. And at Apple, they said to me, oh, it's going to be a piece of cake, yada, yada, yada.
I went to sleep, woke up the next morning, 4:30 a.m. They were
So
perfect.
in my case, I couldn't do the data transfer. Get one of my sons on the phone, little FaceTime, take a look at my screen. He says, Dad, that computer needs an update. And I said, oh, do I? I'm pretty good about that. I normally always update my computer when I get the missives.
Sure.
He says, no. Your new one.
What?
I said, what? I just spent this for this computer. I bring it home and it needs an update? That's not right.
Yikes.
So then here's
and they didn't know that in the store when they sold it to you?
Right.
Wait, was it new?
It's a 1954 Mac. No, so now I looked it up. It's a 2021. How do I feel about that?
Wait a minute.
What's yours?
About this Mac.
If you tell me yours is 2022, then I'm taking this freaking thing.
Mine's 2023. No, just kidding. It's 2021.
2021.
Yeah.
So, okay, then there's this issue.
There's another issue?
Why
do you always have issues? Why?
I don't know. I don't know.
Mine was so easy. Put them next
So
to each other. Boom.
I had a
There we
13-inch
go.
monitor. I
Okay.
wanted a little bit larger
Mine's
of a
14.
monitor.
Yeah.
Okay, this is 14 as well.
Okay.
But here's the downside. Here, freaking disconnect.
No,
Wait a
they
sec.
did not make you.
Wait a sec. I can't get this fucking thing out.
Okay, stop. It should not be that hard.
It shouldn't. Okay. See that?
It's it's a magnet. It should not be as hard as you just
Do you,
did.
do you see that?
Yeah, that's exactly the one I have.
Okay, well, that's not the charger that my 13-inch had.
No.
So now,
Oh no, all
because
new.
here in studio, I like to have a charger instead of carrying one. I have an extra
Obviously.
one. Okay, so now the charger is separate different, pardon me, than it is for my iPad.
So now you have, because
So
I
it's
have
like, oh,
one in the
Jesus, I gotta
studio, I have
carry all
one at
this-
home, I have a travel one. You've got to get all new ones.
Yeah,
That's
they really,
atrocious.
you just soak you. Why aren't the chargers standard
idea.
for everything?
I have no
That's what pisses me off.
I have no idea.
Elon would never do that.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sure he would.
Anyway, Twitter owner Elon Musk went to Apple headquarters yesterday. Did you see that photograph of him in the, right at the reflecting pool
A
at the
video of him
center
walking around it.
Apple Park in Cupertino? I have flown over. Have you ever flown over Apple headquarters?
not.
And you look down and it's like a donut.
I have
It's really
not.
cool. I'd love to go in there.
I've seen pictures.
So apparently, Elon says it was a misunderstanding. There really wasn't a risk that Twitter was going to get booted from the App Store at Apple. Great. I'm glad everybody's getting along. Of course, you know that on Monday, Musk had posted several tweets criticizing Apple and arguing that the App Store moderation policies were against the spirit of free speech. There is still that issue out there, though, about Apple relative to China and the drop feature that has been denied protesters, which they were using as a form of communication. And something else interesting, and the stories, of course, that I reference are all posted at Smerconish.com, so check it out. Headline from NBC News, Twitter has grown under Elon Musk. Now, it's a little complicated, and it's, one of these liars figure and figures lie, but I've been under the impression, because of the negative publicity surrounding Twitter and Musk, most importantly, that that they were sort of in a nosedive of subscribers and so forth. Data from two independent research firms indicate that downloads and activity on Twitter are on the upswing in the weeks since Musk bought it, and in comparison to last year, appeared to confirm Musk's recent boasting that he has reinvigorated the social media app. So perhaps there's no such thing as bad publicity when you acquire a social media platform. So that's going on. And the third headline posted at Smerconish.com that relates to Twitter is how Twitter's ex-safety chief, Yoel Roth, has finally admitted that it was a mistake not allowing circulation of the Hunter laptop story in the 11th hour of the presidential campaign. Quote, "We didn't know what to believe. We didn't know what was true. There was smoke, and ultimately for me, it didn't reach a place where I was comfortable removing this content from Twitter, Roth said during an interview with the Knight Foundation conference, but it set off every single one of my finely tuned Apt 28 hack and leak campaign alarm bells, he added, using an alternative name for the Russian cybercrime group Fancy Bear. TC, today's poll question is, I said today's poll question is, should municipalities regulate gasoline-powered leaf blowers? I thought you had the better part.
Hang on. There's 3 hours of this.
3 hours.
I thought I cued it to the right part.
You didn't.
What?
No, that sounds like a hair dryer. That's what I want. That. I can never. I have one. I can never get the thing. Just like really cranking on a nice even keel. No, now that's you with the volume. That's not good enough. No.
Why are there 3 hours of leaf blower sound effects? That's incredible to me.
Would somebody try and go to sleep to that?
That's what it says. It says for rest and relaxation. This video was a subscribe. By the way, 259,000 views on this sucker. It's for study sounds or even sleep sounds as you enjoy the sound of a leaf blower. The screen goes dark, so the bright light from the screen won't disturb your sleep.
Today's poll question is a great one. I can't wait to see the final result. Should municipalities regulate gasoline-powered leaf blowers. I want to talk about homelessness. I want to talk about New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who's now facing backlash for his move to involuntarily hospitalize homeless people. As I've said, Adams is doing that which the law allows, but no one else is willing to do. Everyone else has just waved a white flag. And it's such a damn sad subject. I don't know if people all across the country are exposed to homelessness the way that I'm exposed to homelessness. Why am I exposed to homelessness? Because I travel a fair amount. I'm in the city of Philadelphia often, weekly at least. I'm in New York City. I'm in Washington, D.C., big homeless problem. And of course, on the West Coast, I've seen it in Tenderloin. I've seen it at Skid Row in Los Angeles. If you're in middle America, I mean, maybe it's just not a fact or facet of everyday life, but it certainly is in urban areas and especially on the West Coast. Interestingly, not so much in Florida. So definitely a reflection of the level of tolerance of government officials. On Tuesday, New York City Mayor Eric Adams said he was acting to address a crisis we all see around us toward the end of a year that has seen a string of high-profile crimes involving homeless people. He announced a major push to remove people with severe, untreated mental illness from the city's streets and subways. Adams has been clearing homeless encampments and making it a priority since taking office in January. He said the effort, now here's the key part, would require involuntarily hospitalizing people who were a danger to themselves, even if they posed no risk of harm to others, arguing the city had a moral obligation to help them. That's not a change in terms of the authority that the city has and other cities have always had. I mean, the standard is, what went on here in very simple terms, is that there was a deinstitutionalization wave that goes, back 30 years. And the problem has become progressively worse, and the standard employed by courts and consequently by government entities has been one of you can only involuntarily commit someone if they pose a danger to themselves or someone else. Okay, it's pretty clear what it means if they pose a danger to someone else. Like, are they a violent risk to another person? Have they acted violently towards someone? Okay, they are a risk of acting violently towards someone again. The gray area is, what does it mean to be a risk to yourself? When I was at a Wawa on South Street, what was it, 22nd and South, wherever that Wawa is, on Saturday morning at 6 a.m. a month ago, and I come out at 6 a.m. on a Saturday, and it's just getting light at that time of year. And across the street is actually Wawa, and then across the street is a Starbucks, and there's a guy in a vent in a very, very awkward, prone position. And I look at him, I get in my car, and there's nobody else around. And I think to myself for a moment, like, wow, when did this become acceptable? If that were a dog on that vent, we'd never stand for it. But somehow it's become, we are so, yes, we use the word, desensitized. And we've just become accepting of the fact that there are some among us. I happen to think it's a drug and mental health issue. I think it's a misnomer to call it homelessness. That yes, they're homeless as a result of mental illness and drug addiction, mostly. So I have the new written standard for New York City that Mayor Adams has promulgated as of November 28, 2022, to support more effective application of Article 9 of the Mental Hygiene Law, and then I'm leaving out some of the legalese. These city entities have worked together to clarify roles and responsibility in involuntary removals. Further along, the following is the city's standard for removal. Section 9.41 authorizes a peace officer or police officer, and I'm sure the cops don't want this responsibility, to take into custody for the purpose of psychiatric evaluation an individual who appears to be mentally ill and is conducting themselves in a manner likely to result in serious harm to self or others. Same standard as it's always been. What's different here is that Adams is saying, hey, we're going to actually act on this now. Okay, well, what does it mean to be a danger to yourself further along? According to OMH's memoranda, both sections 9.41 and 9.58 authorize the removal of a person who appears to be mentally ill and displays an inability to meet basic living needs, even when no recent dangerous act has been observed. The city concurs with OMH on this interpretation of law. If the circumstances support an objectively reasonable basis to conclude that the person appears to have a mental illness and cannot support their basic human needs to an extent that causes them harm, they may be removed for evaluation. Okay, well, what does it mean to be at risk of harm? Case law does not provide extensive guidance regarding removals for mental health evaluations based on short interactions in the field, but it does suggest that the following circumstances could be reasonable indicators of. Indicia.
Okay.
Let me say that sentence again. It's because it's the most important sentence of the whole discussion. But it does suggest that the following circumstances could be reasonable indicia of an inability to support basic needs due to mental illness that pose harm to the individual. Serious untreated physical injury. Okay, so what does it mean that you are at risk of harm to yourself and we are involuntarily going to remove you now from the street? Serious untreated physical injury, unawareness or delusional misapprehension of surroundings, unawareness or delusional misapprehension of physical condition of health. That's as defined as they've made it in New York City. I mean, the guy on the vent that I saw, I see homeless all the time. It's just that this guy made an impact on me. I said earlier that I was reaching for my phone, to take a photograph and say, like, when did we become accepting of this? And then I thought this is going to be poverty porn, and I didn't do it. But of course that guy meets this standard. He meets this standard in Philadelphia, in Washington, in New York, in San Fran, in LA. It doesn't matter, in all of those places. What's different about New York City, and I give Eric Adams credit for this, is he's going to try and do something about it. How about this? Whatever we're doing, it isn't working. It's not working. We're not doing them a favor, and we're not doing ourselves a favor. So anyway, read in on that. All those stories are at Smerconish.com. And remember, now we have both in the newsletter and in the website itself the ability for you, if you think I'm missing a story that fits with the mantra of balance delivered daily, you can attach a link and make it available to me for my consideration. So when I'm deciding what are those 20 stories that are going to make it, I'll consider yours. No guarantees. TC, there's so many things. It's such a disparate mix that we have today. What do you like that's in the newsletter?
I wanted to remind people that they can now suggest headlines. Like, to me, that is...
I just said that.
I know, but I just want to make sure that people know that. Like, I want to nail down on that.
Okay.
Okay?
So nailed.
I think the most interesting thing is the all-female referee team for the World Cup.
I hope there's no controversy. There'll
always be a controversy.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
You think
too.
there'll be a controversy because it's sexist?
I love that it's an all-female refereeing team and it's in Qatar, that it's in the Middle East, that it's in a place that has not been fully respective of female rights. So, of all places, I love that.
You also put the wrong royal headline in the newsletter.
Tell me.
Princess Kate and Prince William are in Boston. Phenomenal.
Yep.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the Royal Racism Row?
No, I'm not talking about that. That's what I refuse to talk about.
I love the fact that that William and Kate went to the Celtics last night.
I did too.
The
Courtside.
Yeah, the fans were chanting USA.
I know.
What does that mean?
That's not nice.
I would have sung God Save the Queen.
I
King.
know you would have. God save the king.
I finished The Crown. I hope there's more to this season.
Wait a minute. You would know. Is the season over or not?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, there are 10 episodes, and I watched all 10 of season 5. I just hope that's not the extent of season 5 and that they dropped. But 10's a lot of episodes. 10's a lot
10.
of.
That's it.
Sugar.
That's
Okay, so now I got to wait. Oh, so good. It's so. Why don't
What
you
was
watch
the last
Crown?
thing?
Do you really want me to tell you?
It's modern history. I know what.
Okay, Princess Diana is now about to go on vacation with Mohammed Al Fayed and meet Dodi.
Interesting.
She's still alive.
Aw.
There, I said it.
Well,
I've now brought you up to where they are.
but that's not like my point is there's not like a mystery of what's happening in The Crown. I just don't want to. I don't want to relive that history.
Let me tell you about this movie about these two friends, and they live on this remote island. And one guy says, "I'm done with you, and if you don't stay away from me, I'm going to start to cut off my fingers."
Hey, look at the time. TikTok.
Can we try this again? The poll question of the day, because you botched it before. Okay, here we go. The poll question of the day. I gotta hear like the starting and stopping. No, that's you manipulating it. There we go. Yeah, that's what I want. The poll question of the day: should municipalities regulate gasoline-powered